I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this video, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And if people comment that I'm an idiot, I'm retarded, I don't know what I'm on about, I'm wrong, because it's a fact that the song is epic and therefore nobody can dislike it, which is incredibly opinionated because it's my opinion that it's not good. I'm just gonna block all of you immediately, so you can try, but it'll just be a waste of your time because I'm just going to block everything. So, if you do that, that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, Tool. I first listened to this band a few years ago with what was the most latest release. God, when would I listen to it? Maybe about 6 years ago. And yeah, I basically just downloaded the album after hearing just how incredible the band is. I was at college. I was on the bus going somewhere for college, and on the way, obviously, I was just going to listen to the album, take it as my opportunity to do so. Put it in. The first song started off of 10,000 million whatever album, and it was a bit muddy in sound. I kind of thought, God, I wonder if my download was of crappy quality. And then the singer comes in, and I'm thinking, Jesus, this is a terrible download. I can barely hear the singer. All he's doing is whispering. Just, don't look at me like I am a monster. And he's just whispering. It is literally just like that. So I thought I had a really shitty download. So I listened to about 4 bloody songs, then I just turned it off and then listened to something that just absolutely hits you in the face because it's so powerful with a massive kick and energy. Because I could barely hear anything, and I don't want to listen to something which is incredibly quiet and dull and I can't hear properly. So I just deleted the whole thing. Later down the line, I was kind of thinking maybe this is the way it is, because then I went on to YouTube and went on to all these things, and I just thought, all of these things are so crap in quality. Maybe just they had a problem in the studio and it wasn't meant to sound like that. So I managed to find an actual FLAC download, so actual album studio version file, and I thought maybe that will give it some life and a better sound. No, the quality still absolutely sucked. It was absolutely awful. The singer constantly whispering. He never actually sings properly. He just constantly whispers, which I'm thinking is a method he uses to get a tone that actually works for him, because he can't actually sing properly. If he was to actually project and actually sing like, well, any singer on the planet, I think his voice would kind of fall flat. It would just break. It would be awful. So he whispers the "Don't look at me like I am," because he probably has better control over it when it's whispered. As for the rest of the musicians, the quality just sucked. It was all muddy and everything was just always so incredibly slow and bland. Never built into anything, really, so it was just boring. I then, went onto YouTube and I tried listening to previous catalogs, just like, I wonder how it compares. And you wouldn't know what song is from what album because every song is exactly the same. Which really confused me because the band is talked about as an incredible progressive metal band, better than Dream Theater, the people who created it, the people who were supposedly the leaders. No, a lot of people argue Tool have beaten the crap out of Dream Theater because Dream Theater are quite basic musicians and aren't as diverse as Tool, which I don't know how people say that. Like, seriously, Tool fans must be brain dead if they think that. Because Mike Portnoy, incredible, massive range of a drummer. Tool, nothing like that. Tony Iommi, I think it's the guitarist of Dream Theater, pretty sure. Incredible guitarist. Tool's guitarist can barely do anything. And then the Dream Theater singer, dear Christ, is he good. With range. And he can actually enunciate and project his words. Unlike the Tool singer, who can't do anything. Just whispering and one bloody range. And that is it. So, yeah, Dream Theater wiped the floor with Tool. Tool are probably one of the worst progressive metal bands. I can barely class them as progressive because there's not much to it. But trying to have an open mind about it and try and see where people come from. Tool do have really long songs. This track here is 10 minutes long. So you would think, because they always have long songs, how do they fill that? Well, they do change things around, and the song does kind of progress, like progressive metal would. They keep building on top of the foundation that they lay and keep adding new elements, like progressive bands do. But the problem with Tool that I find is they always follow the pattern of everything is always whispered. The foundation is something unbelievably bland, unbelievably quiet that it's dull and can make you fall asleep. And then basically they'll add a single note, and that'd be it for about a minute or two. And then they'll add one single note, and that'll be it for a minute or so. So that is basically Tool. They always have the same singing style. You can never find really a heavy song. There's the odd occasion where a Tool song will have a heavy element somewhere within the track. But it's usually, it's the middle or it's the end. It's never a full heavy or start heavy. It's always something incredibly quiet, incredibly basic and dull. And then it builds up, barely adding layers. But they do add them, just barely any. So then you get something kind of new, but it is still kind of exactly the same as the start of the bloody song. Which is why I get so bloody bored, because it doesn't change enough. It is a massive drawn out songs of the same thing, but with just an odd element added. Because there is no intricate leads being played from guitars or drums or bass or anything. There is no leads, there is no melodic leads, there is no shred, there's no real kind of solos at all. I think there might be a solo in this track, but I can't actually really remember which, but basically probably means that it was unbelievably awful and terrible, which makes sense because all the guitarist does is barely play anything, and then what he does play is barely anything talented. And then the singer has no range, so you just get bland, mushy sounds with whispered vocals that have one bloody range, and that is it. And he doesn't kind of sing with a great flow of speed to him. It's just like one word at a time. And then he enunciates the living daylights out of the words. In like this song here, he'll say one word and then he'll say it in the most weirdest way, where he'll split the word into two segments and then enunciate both parts in different ways. And it's just like, this is the variation here, basically just saying one word and then messing around with the delivery of singing it. And because this is one word at a time, it is so slow, and then just the way he says it in a so not normal way, it's a bit funny, just because it's so bloody ridiculous and silly. And then again, the rest of the band is mushy, and even though the song progresses, it barely goes anywhere. The end of this track, they have a heavy section. Unlike any of the previous part of the track, everything is pretty slow and boring. But at the end of the song, they do kind of get heavy, but it's still bloody bland. The heavy thing is just mindless chugs. Just dun dun dun, dun dun dun. And that is basically it. It's just mindless fat sound chugs. And that is what Tool do. They take simplicity and just run wild with it. Which is why I think people really like Tool, because it is so extremely accessible, because there's barely anything to the bloody band. There's barely any range or talent to the singer. There's barely any range or talent with the rest of the band. Therefore, there's nothing intricate at all being put out there. So it's easy for the simple-minded people to just get into. It doesn't take much capacity to really intricately get into and divulge what is being put out. It's just a simple phrase repeated and repeated, and then with slight tweaks altering it a little, and that is as far as it goes. Everything is simple, basic chugs. Loads of bands do that. It's really brain dead and pathetic. They use their kind of effects and amps and will use different sounds and everything to make it sound really different and unique, and then people will say, God, the sound that they have is incredible. Yeah, but it's basically just pick, and then the amp is doing the sound. The guy is not doing it out of his bloody mouth, and what he's doing is not making the sound. It is all the bloody amp. Yeah, well, he tweaked the knob to get it there, so that shows talent. Don't see any other band with a kind of tweak of a knob like that. Yeah, brilliant. It's just bad. I listened to this track and my brain hurt. And it wasn't because it was overly complex. It was because I was seriously focusing on everything to keep my brain going fast and, processing. But because nothing was coming in, my brain was really turned up with nothing coming in to use that brain power. So I'm just basically blowing fuses with no kind of output. So my brain was killing me. I had a headache after listening to this thing. I was focusing on absolutely everything, trying to, take pieces apart and then evaluate each and every piece. But because nothing came, I'm just basically just using so much brain power and not putting anything in, which just wrecked my head. The intro is just so drawn out, nothing. And then they add the one element, and then people was like, ooh, interesting sound. It's just like, the bass came in with an extra note. It's not, ooh, wow. Take, Steve Vai. Plays power chords, he plays the A chord, he changes over to B. Woo! No. That's not brilliant. It is bloody ridiculous. Steve Vai is doing the A chord, he's shifting to the B. Can he do it? Can he do it? Yes, he did it. Well done, everyone. Well done. Seriously. Green Day, Avril Lavigne have more range in their bloody instruments than this bloody band. They just massively draw out sections and then keep adding one single aspects just to make it constantly kind of evolve, but there's barely anything there. I kind of think of Tool as kind of like a pop band that is trying to be progressive metal. They take the bare things that they actually know and then just really try and just extend it out. And that is basically Tool. You have terrible whispered singing. You have really untalented musicians. The drumming is the most interesting part because the drumming kind of does the most and has the most different stuff going on. So drums were alright. Other than that, it wasn't really anything to it. the end of the song is heavy, unlike the rest of the song, but it's just chugs, so I can't really praise them for like, wow, you've gone such a different path. Wow, you're so talented. Any band can do chugs. It's not difficult. So yeah, this is it for this. I'm sure I'm going to get much hate for doing this. I am also massively sure that I may even lose subscribers over this, because everyone says that this band is insanely talented, better than Dream Theater, even though Dream Theater had a drummer that can run circles around the other guy without breaking a sweat, and a singer, and a bass player, and a keyboardist, and a guitarist, basically all of them. Songwriting, lyrics, everything. I don't even listen to Dream Theater, yet I know they have more talent than these guys. These guys are just so bad. The album before this was boring and dull, with nothing to it. I listened to each track and then I just kind of skip through to just see where the song kind of goes. And then each track, I'm going through tracks and I'm skipping to certain aspects, but I'm always like, it sounds like I'm always stuck on the same bloody track in the same bloody section. Because there's nothing to it. Everything is always quiet and muddy and whispered all the bloody time. Change it up. I watched an actual reaction video for this song. And there was a girl who commented, who actually listens to rap of all things, who said there's not really a lot. It's very repetitive. That's a girl who listens to rap. Now, rap, to me, is incredibly repetitive, with barely anything to it. And she said she was getting bored, lost concentration. It was repetitive. A girl who listens to rap said that this was repetitive and was boring. And you know what? She is right. It is incredibly repetitive. And yes, I am aware that it does keep changing, but it's little tiny things. Therefore, the core sound and structure that is there is always there for pretty much the most part, until they eventually try and change it. But again, what they are putting out is so boring and basic. And the whole band are just so untalented that it's just so terrible and boring. It is so awful. I don't know why people like this. The only thing I get is basically the fact, again, that it is so basic and bland that people can easily access it, because there's nothing there. And then you've got, obviously, the fact that it is progressive metal with really long tracks. Therefore, the people who get in and don't need a lot of brain capacity to, get into this and figure it out, then think that they're intelligent because they're listening to something progressive with a massive range of talent. When, to be honest, it's just basically a really simplistic band that just have really long, drawn-out songs with not a lot there to keep you entertained. So that is it for this. It's all I'm going to talk about with Tool, because I seriously do not want to go through an entire album or another song, because it kills my brain cells trying to get through it, and it's just incredibly bland and boring. I'm not putting myself through another song. So that is basically my opinion on Tool and this song. So if you leave a negative comment, you're getting blocked and it'll be deleted. And yep, this is my opinion as well. I'm entitled to it. So just remember that. And that'll be it from me.